Duck Series Studios presents a review by Connor. Warning, this video contains my opinions. You have been warned. So now, the final Season 22 review of the last 8 episodes. I don't know what the first one is, but the last one's 26. First up, we have Cyclone Thomas. Oh boy. So the plot is Thomas wants to be a doctor like Isla, like a rolling doctor's train. And, he goes for a cyclone that she can't get through. A modern airplane can't get through the cyclone, but a 104-year-old steam locomotive can. I drew him there with a little animatronic arm or something. Whereas number 1 should be. He's not strong, I don't think he's that strong. I don't know how strong the LBSCE2s actually are, but I don't buy it. I don't really like the episode either. It's not really great of an episode. 2 out of 10. Maybe a 2.5. Next, here we have a railway worker. I drew the hat. It says, no. Next episode is Kangaroo Christmas. Now, you may be thinking, you don't like this episode, I'm assuming. No, it's actually a good episode. The reason I put no is because, there's a really big error in the plot. So Thomas is in Australia with Shane, and he's upset that there's no snow at Christmas, but then a kangaroo takes a little girl, Madeline's kangaroo, baby toy kangaroo, and Thomas and Isla track it down and get it back in time. And Thomas realizes that the best thing about Christmas isn't snow, isn't presents under the trees, it's spending time with those who love. Which is a good message, because that is the best thing about Christmas. Anyways. But, here's the problem. Thomas is upset that there's no snow. He's had Christmas without snow before, and he says, "This is my first time with Christmas without snow. I was very disappointed." Well, he's had snowless Christmases plenty of times, I'm assuming. In the very first Thomas Christmas story ever, Mrs. Kindly's Christmas, there's no snow. None. 0. The episode, it's good. It's maybe a 7 out of 10. 7.5. Yeah, I'd say 7.5. And this one also says no. It's Percy saying, no! Thomas and the Dragon. How come they don't acknowledge Thomas, Percy, and the Dragon? Because that's where Thomas took a Chinese dragon. That episode is epic. This episode, not so much. Maybe a 7.5 out of 10. But the plot is Thomas is scared to deliver the dragon. Youngba says, the dragon. The best part about New Year is the dragon. What? I still can't hear you. And
Thomas, you've delivered a dragon to, and it spooked me, remember? Remember back in Season 3, Thomas?
No, I don't think I remember. Oh, here's an episode. Oh, here's the Chinese dragon. Here's the Chinese dragon. Red dragon. I'm worried of, there's no the dragon is real.
We delivered it before.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. And Andrew Brenner wrote that Season 3 episode. So you'd think that him as script editor would pick this out and at least they'd acknowledge the episode, but no, they don't. But, yeah. Now here, next episode. Rosie is red. Here's, Rosie and Bill and Ben. I was gonna draw Diesel too, but, didn't have the space. So, Diesel rams into Rosie, causing her to go forward, and Thomas sticks up for her at the docks and says, it wasn't Rosie's fault. Diesel shunted her.
Oh, are you protecting Rosie because she's your favourite? Thomas and Rosie sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
Yuck. And Thomas be's a bit rude to Rosie. He avoids Rosie more so. And it was nice to see great Sodor friends like Rosie, Bill, Ben, Edward's in this episode. Percy, Cranky, Diesel, Paxton, Gordon. Nice to see them. Nice to see all those guys. 7 out of 10. It really is the minimum of good. The fantasy sequence isn't that great. Like most fantasy sequences are. It's not realistic at all. But the episode, minimum of good. Probably the best part is seeing the characters, and that's it. Yeah, that's the best part, in my opinion. So next episode, Case of the Puzzling Parts. Now, if you're looking for a funny episode, this is the one. It's hilarious. Sydney, my bad, is at the Diesel Works, and there's this funny part with him and Dart, and he's like, "Hello, Dart." "Hello again, Sydney. Did you get the flatbeds?" "Oh, the flatbeds. What was I supposed to be doing?" "The flatbeds." And it's funny. It's me laughing every time. Then Sydney meets Paxton, and he doesn't know what his flatbed's for. So Paxton says, "Sounds like a mystery." And there's this fantasy sequence where he and Sydney are looking at purple goo and Diesel's sort of there. And anyways, next Sydney says, "Maybe I was supposed to be working with you, and I just forgot. I don't know. Another mystery." And they go off looking for clues. They ask Reg, and Reg says, "Those look like brand new engine parts, Sydney." And then they ask Thomas, "Those look like diesel engine parts." And they're at the Blue Mountain Quarry. Oh, and there's this funny part. They're at the waste dump, and Sydney says, "Maybe that's a clue." Then garbage falls on him. He says, "That clue was a load of rubbish." That almost had me laughing filming. Good episode, really good. The parts were for Sydney. It's funny as well when Paxton finds that out. He says, "You've solved the mystery." And he says, there's this one part. He says, "Oh no, these parts must be for Diesel. I think they're for you, Special Agent Sydney." 10 out of 10. Almost perfect episode. Banjo and the Bushfire. I love frogs. Like, if there's anything, it's like I really love frogs, toads, and trains. So here's the frog and Thomas. Thomas almost squishes a tree frog, and Tamika warns him. And then Thomas goes along and helps Ranger Jill. But then after blowing his whistle at, I can't remember what it was. I haven't seen the episode in a bit. Some sort of animal. He gets scolded, and but then he helps rescue the animals from the bushfire. But now here's something to note. In this episode, Thomas gets scolded, and he doesn't. They don't constantly remind you. Thomas is a very clever engine. 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 They just let him be. Oh, I forgot to draw his wheels. Silly me. They just let him be, make a mistake. Next episode, and this episode premiered with the next episode on Canadian television. Counting on Nia. Why isn't Nia in the picture? 'Cause Thomas is the narrator, and he's here to inform us how smart Nia is. Nia is a very clever engine. Nia is a very clever engine. Nia is a very clever engine. That's what this episode constantly says. I counted was the bit before where Thomas talks to the audience and the bit after where Thomas talks to the audience. If you include those, that's 14 times they either show flashbacks or they remind you that Nia is a very clever engine. They remind you, and I told my mom, and she said, it's like they're thinking the audience isn't very smart. So it says Nia is smart. So Nia has to pull Annie and Clarabelle. And they constantly remind you that Nia is very clever. Nia is smart. Nia is clever. Nia is smart. Nia is clever. Nia is smart throughout the episode. And she pulls Annie and Clarabelle. She doesn't know how to read numbers. But then for a fantasy sequence, Annie and Clarabelle teach her. Here's a little nitpick. Why are there so many animals in the fantasy sequence? Shouldn't it be more railway things like, I don't know, barrels or tracks or something, or locomotives. Like you could have had Bill and Ben in there, or Thomas, or Duck, or Percy, or whoever, or Rebecca, or Emily, Gordon, So they constantly remind you of Nia's very smart, and I wonder if United Nations said, oh, you can't make a female character look dumb, or you can't make an African character look dumb. But she's not dumb, she just doesn't know numbers. But it's hammered into our head that she's a very clever engine. She's a very clever engine. She's a very clever engine. And it's just like, why? 7 out of 10. Next episode. Hunt the Truck. This is an epic episode. So, Nia can't find your truck at Brendam Docks. Bill and Ben hid it. Edward gets them to bring it out of hiding, and there's Bill and Ben. I wanted to draw Edward too, but ran out of space. Bill and Ben go to the docks the next day, and they find a truck for Edward, and they hide it, and then Edward can't find it, and it's the stuff for the Earl's Christmas party. Oh yeah, and back to counting on you. In Banjo and the Bushfire, they don't keep saying, Thomas is very clever, Thomas is very smart, Thomas is very clever, Thomas is very smart, but this one, Nia's very clever, Nia's very clever, Anyways, Hunt the Truck, amazing. Almost flawless. The fantasy sequence was really good because it was realistic. Bill and Ben imagine all the food and presents disappearing, and they have to find the truck. So they do. They don't until the end. They look everywhere, and it's really good. And then Edward has it all along, and it's really funny. There's a scene. They say, Edward, we're so sorry. We didn't mean to do it. No, what are you sorry for? We were playing Hunt the Car, and we hit your car as a joke. You mean this car? Yes, that's the one. That's the one! But. It's a really good episode. 10 out of 10. So that is the last of the Season 22 reviews. Now, I will be reviewing Season 23. As of today, Digs and Discoveries has aired in Canada, and The Other Big Engine and Grudge Match will air on Sunday. I think I might review some products and maybe some other stuff in between, but I will be reviewing Season 23 every episode. But here's the thing, I won't be doing them by UK air date because they're not airing them in the UK air date order in Canada, and I don't watch them pirated illegal. I wait for them to come to Canadian cable. So yeah, they'll be by Canadian air date, and those will come. Yeah, so, yeah,